A big time tech investor and fund manager just bought this $10 tech stock that has huge potential upside. We're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about what stock that is, what do I think happens in the short term because of this, what do I think happens in the long term because of this, and whether or not you should buy this company as a result of this news. We'll get into that here in a sec, but first, thank you for being here. My name's Austin. I'm a co-owner of cloudbusinesssuite.com and, of course, a stock market investor. Thank you for being here, and thank you for being part of that 130-ish subscribers we have. If you're not one of those, go ahead and click that. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. As a thank you for that, here are my two cats, Millie and Luna. Luna is the brown one and Millie is the gray one. They're beautiful, and they thank you so much. All right, let's get into this. So, this stock that I'm talking about here is Palantir Technologies, and the ticker there will be PLTR. You might have heard of this company, you might not have heard of this company. If not, I'll give you a really brief rundown. They are a company that deals in data and artificial intelligence. So data aggregation, data-based decision making, and AI, okay, machine learning. Great company. I love the stock. But the tech investor and fund manager that just bought this stock is Cathie Wood. So Cathie Wood runs the ARK portfolios. There's 6 of these ETFs: ARK K, ARK Q, ARK F, ARK G, ARK W, etc., with the flagship ETF being ARK K. That's the biggest one that has the most amount of money in it. It's an actively managed ETF, meaning she can only buy stocks with money that inflows into the ETF. In 2022 and 2021, ARK actually had a huge Palantir position, and there was a bad earnings that came out, and ARK sold every single share of Palantir that they owned. They completely closed their position out. They had a bearish report on it. They said, we don't think this company's ever going to reach profitability. It's not what we thought it was. Our research was insufficient, and they sold every single share, and it put a ton of selling pressure on the stock, and it was super seemingly made no sense to me, at least. Made no sense to a lot of people. She calls herself a tech investor and wants to be on the edge of innovation, pushing the world forward basically with these innovative ideas and innovative companies, and she wants to invest in these innovative companies. If we're talking about innovation, Palantir is absolutely an innovative company with a best of breed product, which is a great investment to have, especially if you're an actively managed ETF. Actively managed ETFs aren't really worried too much about specific pricing whenever they purchase their blocks of shares. They're more importantly, they're trying to give you exposure to a particular type of asset class. And ARK K specifically is trying to give you exposure to innovation so that someone can, instead of buying just Palantir stock by itself or just Tesla stock by itself or just Shopify stock by itself, they can go ahead and buy ARK K, which would be Cathie Wood's ETF, and then they get exposure to all these through that ARK ETF. I feel like she lost a lot of credibility whenever she sold Palantir for the first time, and now they have bought back into Palantir at around a $10 price point. We had a ton of buying pressure on Palantir stock over the next few weeks and next few months. Do I think that's a good thing for you to buy the stock right now? If you're looking for a short-term swing, maybe. That is not what I do. I don't know anything about short-term swings. I don't care about short-term swings. I'm more interested in like a 3 to 5, maybe even a 10-year outlook. So if we're talking about a 3 to 5 to 10-year outlook, Cathie Wood buying the stock has very little bearing on what happens with the stock price over time and what happens with the market cap over time. It definitely has nothing to do with the profitability over time, definitely has nothing to do with the revenue over time. And that's what moves the stock price as we look out quarter after quarter after quarter. If we have margin expansion over time, if we have net income increasing over time, if we have revenue increasing over time, and ideally net income is growing more than revenue is growing on a quarterly basis. If the company is turning profits are increasing, like I said, that's what moves the stock price up, okay? What I think is way more important to look at out on the horizon, multiple quarters from now, would be Palantir potentially getting included into the S&P 500. So they're not going to be able to be in the S&P 400 mid cap because they're actually too big in terms of market cap already. About 13 billion would be the maximum that the S&P 400 mid cap would want in order for inclusion. Palantir is already in the 20 billions, and I think that's going to increase over the coming quarters, months, years, etc. So S&P 500 inclusion would be a huge deal because now we have a floor underneath. It wouldn't be just Cathie Wood buying when she wants to, selling when she wants to. It's the requirement of the funds, all the index funds that hold S&P 500 and track the S&P 500 like VOO and SPY and all the others. Now they are required to buy Palantir shares. So that kind of puts a floor underneath Palantir, and it's going to make it a lot more stable stock, and it's going to mean it's going to be a lot more inflow and a lot less outflow on a regular basis, which is obviously a great thing for a company like Palantir to have that floor underneath it, to have those assets being bought up on a regular basis because people are buying the index. So inclusion in the index like the S&P 500 would be massive. That's what I think we need to look out for rather than Cathie Wood buying the stock. Good thing about Cathie Wood buying the stock is that she goes on CNBC all the time, and Palantir needs help selling their product because it's a very high ticket item in terms of buying their product. They're not doing small deals, okay? All these deals are huge. So the people that watch CNBC and the people that talk to Cathie Wood are those who have a ton of money and run companies and are on executive teams and management teams for companies. So if I'm gonna hear more and more words about Palantir, and I hear that, oh, it helped this company increase profits in this way, it helped this company increase profits in this way, it helped this government run their service better in this way, I'm going to have to consider that as an executive of a team. So kind of just like the collective conversation around Palantir, the more positive conversation we have around Palantir, actually, the better it could be for the company to get out there into the commercial world. For people to hear it, it kind of sits in their brain. They hear it on CNBC once, twice, 3 times a week. It's not normal for a $20 billion market cap to be talked about on CNBC all the time. So if Cathie Wood's able to go on there and talk about Palantir, people are definitely going to ask her about this next time she's on CNBC. That can be good for the company in order to get into the consciousness of executive and management teams of big companies that might end up using Palantir. And this is a very, very, very sticky product. Once they've integrated with Palantir and you see the benefit of Palantir and you see the profit and the margin expansion that you get, as long as you're making more money than Palantir's product costs you, it's a no-brainer from the management team. And then you work with Palantir to say, hey, we noticed that we're getting great results. How do we leverage this more in order to make it even more profitable for us? And then so sticky, if you're making money from something, if you go away from that service, now you've lost that extra incremental margin expansion. No one wants that. So then you would have margin contraction. A company's not going to move away from Palantir if their product is a best of breed product, which I believe it is. So getting into the consciousness of management teams is going to be huge, I think, over the next few months and quarters. So we shall see. To wrap it up on these thoughts though, is Cathie Wood buying the stock making me want to buy the stock? No, I don't care at all if Cathie Wood buys the stock. I do think it's good for her to talk about it on CNBC and stuff like that. I think it's good for people to realize, oh, this big time tech investor is buying Palantir. That said, her reputation has been tarnished a little bit over the last few years, so it might be making some people more bearish rather than bullish. I really don't think it's going to have a net effect on Palantir in any meaningful way. It's definitely not going to affect their profits. It's definitely not going to affect their revenue in a massive way. So I don't really care too much about it. If I want to buy the company, I don't buy the company based on someone else's decision. I buy the company based on my decision and my analysis and me thinking that this company is going to be more and more profitable over time. They have a best of breed product and they're going to be able to sell it and expand into the US commercial sector and then, international commercial sectors as well. That's why I'm buying the company, not because of Cathie Wood, but I'm glad she's behind it, giving us a little bit more buying pressure rather than selling pressure. I just wish it would have never sold out in the first place. But anyway, let me know what you think. Are you buying because of Cathie Wood? Are you selling because of Cathie Wood? Do you think the stock is jinxed now? I've heard some of that. Let me know. Also, thank you for subscribing if you made it this far. You clearly enjoyed it. Thank you so much and have a great day.